This episode of the podcast is brought to you by Bear Boat Alaska, a pure DIY hunting game with one of their 37-foot adventure yachts. You and 5 of your friends can hunt, fish, set crab pots, shrimp pots, and take DIY to the next level. Bear Boat Alaska is locally owned by a Ketchikan resident who lives here year-round. Call Larry at 907-617-4542 or go to bearboatalaska.com. That's B-A-R-E boatalaska.com and tell Larry you heard about it on this podcast. Welcome back to the podcast. I'm here with DJ Hansen from the inside of, what is this, 38 foot, 40 foot?
Yeah, technically, I think they call it their 33-foot, but we did some redesigning, added an outback bracket. So, yeah, it's 38-foot long.
38-foot long landing craft. Is this custom built out of Wrangell?
No, custom built right here.
Oh, I should have known.
Craig, Alaska, you should have known. Yeah,
I should have known that.
This is a 2.5-year labor of love right here.
Wow. Dang, that's nice.
Yeah.
That's nice. So, DJ Hansen owns, is it DJ's Rentals?
Yeah, DJ's now I think we're in the third phase, DJ's Alaska Adventure Rentals.
Okay, good.
Formerly Hollis.
Formerly Hollis, okay. Former basketball coach, girls basketball coach, Craig High School. 1 or 2 state championships?
1 state championship.
And that was when you had 5 players and a Chinese exchange student?
Yeah, that is the truth.
Yeah, okay, yeah, perfect. And if I recall, you pressed the entire game with 5 players.
We did.
Okay,
yep.
Good. Okay. Graduated Craig High School. You were the same age as my brother, right?
Yes. Yeah.
So your that was the regions my freshman year. When you were a senior, when we had one of our starters break their leg during pregame warm-ups.
You did.
We won't even talk about the end of that game. You're born and raised here?
Yes. Yeah,
Okay.
I was, of course, born in Ketchikan, but I've been on the island since 76. So.
Okay, nice.
Yeah.
Nice. So I want to actually start with the basketball thing a little bit. We were just talking off air about how important it is to be part of the community in small communities. When you were in high school, and as I was in high school too, Craig was like the fastest growing city per capita in Alaska, but still pretty small. Klawock, very small, so you have these small communities. If you aren't part of it, then it can be a very lonely, isolated place. So what value has there been for you to grow up in such a place and then want to call that home as an adult?
Boy, the value is the small community. It's a double-edged sword, right? In a small community, there are people that know you very well, so you can get a lot of support, but then there are people that know you very well. And sometimes it can seem daunting because, in a small community, everybody waves. Everybody does those things. And then when somebody doesn't wave or, or somebody's, it can just go sharply the other way. But, I knew at a young age that I wanted to raise my family here because of all the support we had growing up here. There was a lot of, life was great, right? You had good friends. The community was great. The school system was especially outstanding to me. And I knew I wanted my kids to have that same experience. The ability to have teachers that really cared, and in Craig and Klawock, we both had that longevity of teachers that, there was a core of teachers that were there forever. So the ability to be, to think, man, the people that taught me are going to teach my kids, it was awesome.
Yeah.
So, and I knew I wanted to have our family be here, the values, the people, the security.
Yeah.
Really.
Yeah. It can be kind of a lonely place. At the same time, you have Craig and Klawock as being places of great opportunity for entrepreneurs, but at the same time, kind of almost an isolated nowhere for others. So how do you gauge the opportunity? How do you make the most of these opportunities in these small communities? Because there's some people who just can't get out. They didn't leave. We've seen some of our former classmates who, unfortunately, because of circumstances or whatever, haven't been able to have the same experience as adults. So how do you make the most of that and find these entrepreneurial type opportunities?
I, you know, I that's really hard to to talk about where someone else is coming from. You
Mm-hmm.
know, I mean, from my own experience, I'm how I got a lot of these opportunities is the self motivation I had. I mean, you would be surprised what motivates some people. You know, so and I never. One of the things that I was really blessed, I think, to have is I never in my life wanted to be like somebody else.
Mm.
I never looked out and said, "Hey, I want to be as rich as this guy," or "Hey, I
Mm-hmm.
want to be as successful as this guy." I just wanted to be me. I
Yeah.
wanted to push myself as far as I could push myself, and and hope something good happens. Now, did I get opportunities that other people may not get? I, in all honesty, if anybody could have what I have if
Mm-hmm.
they wanted it. I I come from, not nowhere, but
Yeah.
I in the trenches, I
Yeah.
just we Ann and I started having kids. My wife and I started having kids pretty young, so I had to get motivated real
Mm-hmm.
quick.
Yeah.
So, I think everybody has that point where they get to choose, right? And I know everybody didn't grow up the same way. My parents were very supportive, so I had very supportive parents, and I got to see hard work
Mm-hmm.
firsthand. So my dad grew up in the logging industry here. I mean, he was logging since he was 14 years old, so he worked hard. And my
Mm-hmm.
mom, especially, was a very hard worker too. And so I got to see that growing up, and that in our household, if you didn't work, then
Yeah.
you weren't pulling your load. So
Yeah.
but I got a lot of opportunities. They gave me a lot of opportunities outside of that, especially with basketball,
Mm-hmm.
and traveling and doing those types of things, which was awesome.
Yeah.
So
How difficult was it to step away from coaching basketball? Because I know you put a lot of time and effort into it, and small communities rely on people to step up. And then there can be this feeling of guilt when you do step away because, well, you've done this for so long, and what about this group? My kid's a freshman, or just 4 more years, or just 3 more years. And the last year that I was an assistant coach for Kelly over in Ketchikan, there was going to be a great group of seniors and a great group of freshmen. There's no perfect time to step away from it. So, how do you make that decision, be at peace with it, and not feel guilted by people who maybe want you to hang on longer?
you know what? I probably would have retired 4 times over if I wasn't such a people pleaser. I'm telling you right now, man, the guilt is something else, and I'm driven. The one thing I'm driven by is anxiety, and my anxiety is that if I don't please somebody, I mean that's been my life. My drive in life is the anxiety that I could disappoint somebody.
Mm-hmm.
Really, that's got me to where I am today. That whole thing. So yeah, choosing a time to step away, like you said. I mean, every year there's a potential for the greatness, and that's but that's what I loved about basketball in general, right? It didn't matter. The beginning of the year didn't matter to me. It was that potential in those kids, to try to wring out the greatest potential in the group you had in the time you had them. That's all I looked forward to. So, and I've had so many great groups of kids, and I get to see those kids, being very successful in life now, which makes me happy. Regardless of if I was a big impact or a little impact, it's still fulfilling. I got to coach 2 of my daughters, which, in all honesty, that in the beginning when I started coaching, it was because I seen a program in decline, or no, a better word would be never met its potential. I mean, the girls weren't successful at all in Craig from forever. So, and I thought, well, I got a daughter. She's going to be there in 4 or 5 years. Maybe it's time to, I didn't know if I'd like it or if I'd even be good at it. And in honesty, my first 4 or 5 years, I was horrible. And I had my coach in high school, Jerry Carter. he told me one time, he says, as a coach, he said, you get 4 years. After 4 years, those kids are yours. If you're not successful, maybe you shouldn't be a coach. So year 4, sure enough, I think we went like 2-18. And I told Ann, my wife, I was like, well, I guess I'm just not meant to be a coach because, I'm not producing any kind of results. And she said, you should give it one more year. You've been putting in a lot of work. And so it seemed like year 5, I made a hard change in year 4. I was, when you're young and in coaching, like I said, and you're a people pleaser, you think you need to be friends with everybody. Well, when you can turn the corner and say, you know what, I don't need to be these kids' friend. Right. You need to be a mentor, somebody that they can look up to and push them down the right path and teach them the right way. When I made that decision, I didn't become a better coach because I don't think I was ever a very good coach, but I'm great at looking at people's potential and getting the most out of it. That's what I'm really good at. So I was able after that to see these kids for who they were and then push them in the direction to get the most potential out of them and push them to do their best. Yeah. And once I learned how to do that, the program became very successful. And also, you have to have people behind you. You have to have parents behind you. Right. You have to have your family behind you. A lot of things have to go on to do that. So, I mean, it was definitely a highlight. I love coaching. Today I miss coaching, I can see the struggle in kids' eyes and I can, you can help, but eventually you have to, I don't want to say it's not a young person's game, but it's a person that's more motivated than I am. You have to spend, 9 months a year doing that to be successful.
Yeah.
So,
it's definitely become a year-round thing.
Yeah.
That finding the individual drive or the individuality in that person is so important in teaching too. And I think being in the small communities where you have smaller classes, you have these teachers who saw that, okay, this person's not going to go off to college. They're going to be just fine here, crushing it, working at Tyler or being a charter fisherman or being a commercial fisherman. And it was nice to be able to see and have teachers who understood that and could hold you accountable individually outside of that. So rather than you're at a massive school of 1,800 and one teacher for 1 year and then you get a whole new set of teachers the next year, it's nice to have that consistency like you said before. And coaching and teaching, it's the same thing. It's not about X's and O's as much as getting the kid motivated enough to do that and seeing that. And it's nice to be in a community that values that and supports that as well.
Oh yeah, we've had great support for that, and you're seeing we got to a point where it got a little bit of tougher for these kids. You could see they were coming out of high school and maybe flailing a little bit, but now, it seems like we've turned a corner, and I don't know if that's because you're seeing, the labor market really decline, especially in, high-end jobs, electricians and plumbers and those types of things. Now kids have a good opportunity to come right out of high school, and apprentice in a lot of these programs where they, they're earning great money right out of school and then can, start moving on with life at a faster pace, because that is the one thing it's important to think about that people are in a stale place in their life. Especially some of the people we see that we went to high school with now. And I think a lot of that is that transfer from school to the real world. If you don't get out on a pace, a little bit of I don't want to say you have to sprint out of the block, but you have to be, you have to come out at a little bit of a pace or you're going to be behind.
Yeah.
And then you're looking around you, and the way people are now, especially with social media, they're always chasing something.
Yeah.
So if you don't come out with a little bit of pace now, you get down on yourself because you're not where X and O is, and you get to see this person doing that, and you think but there's something there.
Yeah.
Just find it.
Yeah.
There is.
There's so many opportunities here, and we're seeing a lot more. Just economically, if you go out and you get and leverage some level of education to be able to come back and make the most of that, go to a 2-year or go to a 9-month apprenticeship program or something like that. And around here, there's so many people who are able to apprentice, and you even have, John Rowan have people with carve with him. We're at a time in our culture now where you can make a living as a native artist. I mean, there's so many opportunities for that, and just connecting people with that value. Outside of logging was kind of the big thing. You talked about your dad being a logger, and that's one of the major differences I've seen since I was in high school and growing up, where it was, logging communities. Thornbury was a logging community. Kaufman Cove, logging community, and Klawock and Craig were definitely impacted by that too. And so when logging declined quite a bit, people had to kind of pivot to new things. So how would you compare the economic opportunities now to when you were growing up or in high school?
Well, we talk about that all the time with the buddies, the group of us, because when we all got out of high school, it's like your rite of passage, right? Most of us either did what our dads had done before as a summer job, or for a couple years. Me, for example, I went off to school. Well, but every summer I'd come back and I'd go out and work in the woods. Mm-hmm. I'd go set chokers for that's how I paid for school. So, we were doing that for 13. I think I made like $13 an hour. Well, now kids can get out of high school and go to work for, AP&T or, as an apprenticeship, and make, $25-$30 an hour. Mm-hmm. It's crazy that these kids can get out and have all this opportunity. And we had opportunity, but ours was, on a much smaller scale. Yeah. I mean, there was still a lot. You could do anything you want to do. When we got out of high school, we could have picked anything we wanted to do, really, if that's what we wanted to do. Mm-hmm. Now I just think these kids have it's even broader. The island is, small business is becoming a pretty big thing on the island, and tourism is becoming a pretty big industry on the island too also, and so we're seeing growth in all those areas, which means growth in, every other area, because I don't care what the state of Alaska says, population decline we've been in, just look at the people that are here in the summer. And most of these people own homes here. They just don't call themselves residents. Yeah. I mean, this island has got to be double,
It's crazy.
Yeah, in population. But that's not what we're seeing.
No.
So in I don't know what it's going to be, 10 or 15 years, you're going to see this big boom, this big population increase, because the people that all own summer homes here are going to retire here. Mm-hmm. And then they're going to say, oh, we're in a population boom. No, it's been here.
It's been set up, put in motion long before.
Yeah, it's been in motion. So that all creates jobs. I mean, and jobs that you can't really see on paper, so.
Well, it's interesting, too, because it's dispersed throughout Prince of Wales. I was listening to a couple of guys on the ferry talk about their properties in Knockety, and I thought, Knockety, if someone would have told me that Knockety would be, a hotbed for real estate when I was in high school, I thought, dude, you're crazy. But Knockety has space and land. Craig, when it was expanding out St. Nick, because that was pretty much where the land was, and now we're seeing that we were talking about this before, there's homes all the way around St. Nick. Klawock has some space, but not a ton. Knockety has space. Kaufman has space. And it's crazy to hear people talk about it, but that's where those places are being noticed, and people are buying homes, like you said. And it will be interesting to see where this leads. And there's a lot of economic opportunities. Obviously, there was a void when it comes to rentals. So how did you decide to go into providing that value or that need, rather than say, well, someone else can do it?
That was a real tough call for me, because I had a great opportunity. I had owned my own business for about 6 or 7 years in the construction industry, and had worked out of Ketchikan and then came back over and worked on Prince of Wales for, another 4 or 5 years. And it was like now, hard to find good labor, help, hard to find quality people. And I decided, maybe that's, and I decided for my body to also, even at a young age, I was like, man, maybe this, if you're doing this in another 15 years, it's going to be, you're going to be, maybe more worn out than you already are. I mean, basketball does that to us though. Yeah, so yeah. I don't think I could be any more worn out. So I got a great opportunity with Tyler Rental to step in there and go to work. And within a couple of years, I had the opportunity to manage there. And I ended up being there for 13 years. And boy, that gave me some good insight to managing a rental company. Mm-hmm. So after about 13 years of putting in about 2,800 or 3,000 hours a year of work, I decided that I needed to take a break. So, I quit Tyler Rental, and I honestly didn't know what I was going to do. I had just finished building my landing craft. I had a little bit of opportunity there, but I honestly was just like, I need to spend more time with my kids and my family. So I decided to step away, and a good friend of mine, Darren, who owned Hollis Adventure Rentals, within 2 days said, "Hey, I heard that you are taking a break." He said, "Would you be interested in running the car rental business?" And I instantly said, nope, because we had rented vehicles at Tyler Rental, and it was one of my least favorite things to do, just because you're on a remote island. Mm-hmm. People are using this equipment in a way that, they're hunting, they're fishing, mm-hmm. they're doing all the things we love to do.
On logging roads.
Roads with alder everywhere. Yeah. Everything's overgrown. I mean, every rig we had was pinstriped. I was like, oh, this is I just can't. It'd be too much. So I was like, nah, I don't think so. And, and then I went home and I thought about it, and I thought, you know what? Let's do it for a year, because maybe it's, so yeah. I called Darren up, and he said, okay. So I kind of weaned into, managing that. And then within a year, I had purchased the company, and then we started to, and basically it was me, and I had some help out of Hollis, Arthur, who was great help. So it was just the two of us doing it for 3 years. I didn't have the family involved at all. It was mm-hmm. just me and one other guy, and Darren would come in and help me out when I needed it. So, and it was one heck of an adventure, I had a lot of fun, but what I liked about it most is the people. I met some great people. I bet. And man, we had so many good people coming here. And yeah, there's not so good eggs. And yeah. And I've got some stories of some rentals that have gone so wrong. It's not even funny. I think I'm going to write a book after it's all over, because I've had vehicle shot, and I've had I've had all kinds of things. So wow. There's some great stories, but and again, I'm such a people pleaser that it's one of those things that when you start something like this, and there's such a customer base and a return customer base. Mm-hmm. When I took the business over, there were people that had been renting from him for 10 years. Well, so now you've got those people, along with, of course, the people that now you have things in common with that now come up. So you create this whole other group that are friends but renters, So now you have this whole pool of people that you're like, you do not want to let down. So that motivates you to keep the rental going. And in my case, it motivates me to grow, right? Because the people that you don't want to let down, they're like, well, it'd be nice if you had this, or it'd be nice if we didn't have to go somewhere for this, or there's not this on the island. So it doesn't really boil down to like money. Like, you want to be able to make money doing stuff. You have to. Right. You have to keep it going. But sometimes, you have to do things just to, add it in the mix, just right. to keep people happy and coming back. So, I mean, that's been the great part about it. And so I think that's the Tyler rental thing helped me really navigate this real well, because I had a vast amount of rental knowledge that was given to me through that company. Randy and Charlie and Tracy, they were great to me. So I got to learn an awful lot from them. And then I got to turn around and use it in my own business. And I knew one of the reasons why I thought, yeah, I want to do this. When I left Tyler Rental, my whole game plan was to work 6 months a year. I'm going to get a job, I don't care what it is, where I work 6 months a year of hard work, because I really believe if you have a window in front of you and you just go, yeah, I got to work hard for 6 months. I'm going to work 14 hours a day for 6 months. Anything's doable. Mm-hmm. That's the way I've got anything I own in my life. It doesn't matter if it's property or business. I dig a hole, and then I go, all I have to do is work as hard as I possibly can for X amount of time, and then I'll be out of the hole.
There you go.
So if you can do that, and you bet on yourself and know your limitations, you can pretty much accomplish anything.
Yeah.
So
you dug yourself a rental hole that you dug out of, and then you decided to dig yourself a boat rental hole, which seems like a hole that is a whole new level of issues and problems. Someone's breakdown or gets a flat tire on the side of the road, that's one thing, but now you got boat rental. So what's the difference, and how has that been a unique stress renting boats now?
All of it's stressful. I mean, in all honesty, the boat rental's different. The uniqueness of our business is we talk to everybody we rent to. We don't text everybody we rent to. We don't just email everybody we rent to. We try, at least on the first interaction, we try to have a conversation, because there is a lot of value in conversation about their knowledge, what they can and can't do, what their expectations of Prince of Wales are. Most people's expectations of Prince of Wales are zero. They just think they can show up here and do all these things. And the biggest thing is, like, we have so many people that want to rent from us, and they don't even know how to get here. So I mean, we're basically, we start from the beginning, and pretty much just, a lot of people, we just kind of lead them through the whole how to get here, where the options to getting over to the island and all those things. So in the boat rental world, that helped, because I still talk to everybody before we even rent them a boat. I gauge their experience in a boat, right? So I can tell them what I would let them rent from us. And I'll be honest, you can't just come here and rent something from us. You can't get online and just rent something from us. You have to talk to me.
Yeah.
I'm not going to put somebody in a position where they could, be in danger. I don't want to do that. So with the boat rental thing, it's just being real hands-on. We talk constantly, even after they get here for the rental. I meet them at the boats. We go over everything, and then we discuss weather, and I'll look at everything, and then I'll text them that night and say, here's where you should maybe go, or maybe you shouldn't even go out, And I try to be so flexible with that. We get a lot of people that want to rent for a week, and so we have a rental rate for a week. But if the weather's bad, I'm not charging you for a week. I mean, I don't want you out there. I don't want you pushing it thinking, well, I'm paying for this boat, so we got to be out on the water doing something. What fun is that?
Yeah.
I mean, and that's just, so there's those things. And we've had boats, we've had people run out of gas out in the middle of anywhere. We've had lower units ripped off the bottom of the boats. We've had all kinds of things. But in all honesty, when I was building this landing craft, and then we started talking about the car rental business, he had a skiff, but I was already thinking in my mind about expanding, and then thought this landing craft would be great support for a boat rental business. Yeah. So I can pretty much go out and, pick anybody up, drop anything off, and do those types of things. So yeah, the landing craft has turned into one heck of a blessing for us. So
Yeah, that's nice.
Yeah, it's
Some of the things that people don't know about, if they check the weather, like this weekend's supposed to be super, super nice and sunny and beautiful, but out on the water could be a totally different experience because a lot of times you get that north wind, which is why it's clear and sunny. So if you're trying to go out for a couple of days and you're trying to anchor, I mean, you think, well, this is a heavy anchor. All I have to do is get it on the bottom and I'm going to be fine. But then you get your tide swing, you get a change in wind and you're dragging anchor or you're going up on, I mean, there's a lot of other things that go into it too that people might not know. And you don't want to intimidate them, but at least, know what's going on so you can really enjoy the experience.
Yeah, you have to be pretty thorough. We get a lot of people that go out and camp. I mean, we basically serve the adventurer / self-guided, core group. Most of our people all come here, gung ho, and they're going to do it themselves. So. And we really cater to that everything we have is built towards that group of people because that's the group of people I relate with. Mm-hmm. When I go somewhere, it's nice to go out and do it I'm not easy way. And I certainly suggest that every one of the people that come here and want to be in a boat, maybe even go out with a guide for a day because you can get a lot of useful information doing that. But I tend to kind of lean towards the just go out and wing it scenario, right? And if it works out, it's even better because you're doing it yourself. And if it doesn't, then you've learned lessons. So, yeah, tide swings here are one of the things that most people just do not grasp. They just can't grasp that we could have 17 foot of difference. And to explain that to them, especially to people that are the bear hunters that are going to the beach, and we've had lots of boats go dry.
Yeah.
I mean, and I'm just up front. If you let a boat go dry, you're going to be there for 12 to 14 hours waiting for the boat to float again.
Yeah.
You're not going to move the boat.
Yeah.
So if it goes dry, just make sure that it doesn't go dry on a big rock and roll over, So, I mean, there's lots of those things, but we try to set people up with the best scenario. So failure is minimized, I guess. I mean, we have anchor systems and do lots of different things to try to mitigate those types of situations, but they happen. Like I said, I've had lower units ripped off, but I've had boats blow off anchor and beat on a beach all night long too. So I mean, I've had all those things have happened.
Yeah.
So.
And that's the thing too. That happens to people who've been up here for a long time too. Like it's the wind changes, or you don't get the anchorage right, or you don't get the hook embedded, and like those sort of things happen to people who've been here their whole lives. Oh, so it's Alaska. It's that sort of stuff happens.
It's part of the adventure, and honestly, that's probably Tyler Rental. The second biggest thing I learned there was don't take it personally. Yeah. If you the problem is most people would get in a rental business and think that's their boat. Right. That is my boat. I want it treated like it's my boat. Yeah. Well, guess what? It's a rental boat. And things are going to happen. I mean, that's just the way it is. If you take it personally, you're not going to be successful in this business. You cannot take damage to vehicles, damage to boats. Things happen. I mean, sometimes they shouldn't have happened because the reason why they happened was stupid, but they still happened, and you just got to move forward. You just go forward and move on to the next thing. Yeah. So,
so what is the next thing? What's the next hole?
Oh, I've got 3 holes going on right now. I'm a classic. I don't even fill a hole anymore before I dig another one.
Oh, great.
Dude, it's crazy. Great. You see, I just took you through our new 1,200 square foot cabin. It's probably, I would say 80%. It's about 80% complete right now, hoping to be 100% complete by the end of the year, but 92% complete in 2 weeks because I've got more people coming. So
nice.
Yeah, we've got more friends. So we're gonna get deeper into the self-guiding industry. I think we've got some bigger boats coming on our horizon. We've got a 28-foot North River that we're putting together right now, so that'll be out there. And then we've got a coffee shop that we're working on over in Klawock at the airport at our new rental location. So, hey, if I could just clone myself, I would be great because
well, you've seen that movie Multiplicity, right? That did not work out for Michael Keaton.
no, and with my wife, it definitely would not work out. So I'd probably be kicked to the curb.
So kind of go through the inventory real quick of what you offer, what you rent, where can people contact you, and all that stuff. Give the pitch.
Perfect, awesome. Yeah, well, they can. I definitely say reach out to us online first. Go to our website, harentals.com. There is so much great information on there. And there's great information about what we do, but we've got links to cabins, rentals through the Forest Service. We've got links to, the El Cap caves. A lot of great information is on there that people that are not from here or haven't ever been to Prince of Wales will find super useful. How to get around, how to get here, do all those things. So I say, get on there and shoot us an email if you have an interest for sure. But yeah, call us. I mean, the best way is, like I said, we like to talk to everybody we do business with. So give us a call. Everything's online. Go to HA Rentals. You can see all our phone numbers, all our cell numbers. If I leave my cell number out there, and I'm kind of backing away from the car rental business a little bit more to focus on the boating into things and the self-guided into things. So Ann and Aspen, my oldest daughter, they pretty much take care of that. But we have, vehicles, boats, cabins, camping gear, kayaks. I mean, what else? Side-by-sides, four-wheelers. I mean, we do, we offer freight hauling. We offer moving of equipment and vehicles. We do vehicle storage out at the airport. So long-term and short-term. Boat storage, long-term and short-term. We do. I mean, honestly, I say just if you need something on Prince of Wales, just call us. If we don't do it, we will certainly point you in the direction of the right person, because we've been here and we know the right people to deal with. So
excellent.
Yeah.
Well, that was a great closer, man. Seems like you've done that before.
I've never done that before, so no. It was awesome talking to you.
Yeah,
sure.
Thanks for taking the time out of your busy day. I saw that you were digging up there, and hopefully the echo in your landing craft ends up being okay.
Yeah,
should be fine.
If it doesn't, we can always do this again.
Yeah, we'll just copy it. Thanks, man. Appreciate it.
Okay, thanks, Jeff.